जो तो प्रेम खिलन का चाओ, सिर तर तली गली मेरिया, इत मार्ग पैर तरीकै, सिर दीजै कान न कीजै, सूरा सो पहचानियै, जो लड़ै दीन के हेत, पुरजा पुरजा कट मरै, कबहू न छाड़ै खेत। गुरु प्यारी, गुरु सारी साध संगत जी, today is a very blessed day in which Dhan Dhan Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, they have allowed for this Pavan youth Samagam to take place in their Hazri. And Sadh Sangat Ji, before the Aramta of this Katha, let us all place our Hazri in this Darbar. Please join me in the blessed Fateh of Dhan Dhan Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. Sarbat Sangat Aakho Ji, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Sadh Sangat Ji, Sadh Sangat Ji, in this last week, this Panth remembers one of the most terrible atrocities that was committed against us, and that was the attack on Shri Darbar Sahib, the Golden Temple. Sadh Sangat Ji, time and time again we see in history that those beings that spoke truth, that began to wake people up in this world about what was truly going on, Sadh Sangat Ji, those that are corrupt and that wish to oppress often see these beings as threats to their rule. And Sangat Ji, we saw this throughout the Jeevan of our Gurus. Just 2 weeks ago, we remembered the Shahidi of Dhan Dhan Shri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, who we can say, based on this very thing, obtained Shahidi themselves. The heightened being that spread truth in this world, woke the minds of people, moved them away from ritualistic practices, and truly taught them how to obtain union with Waheguru. Such a being was seen as a threat to the corrupt rulers of the time. Sadh Sangat Ji, a name that is inseparable from 1984 is Sant Jarnail Singh Ji, Khalsa Pindrawal. Sangat Ji, the corrupt rulers of the time, they say the reason this attack occurred was because they wanted to eliminate a terrorist, and they referred to Sant Jarnail Singh Ji. They wanted to eliminate a terrorist and his companions. And before we go further, Sadh Sangat Ji, if we accept this was their reason, Sadh Sangat Ji, simultaneously, while Darbar Sahib was attacked, there were over 30 more Gurdware that were attacked at the same time. And now ask yourself this question: was it Sant Jarnail Singh Ji sitting in all of those Gurdware? If their job was to eliminate a terrorist, why were their kids who weren't even out of their mother's wombs killed? Why were there individuals who were grabbed and slammed against the concrete, children thrown in the air? Our mothers and daughters were dishonored and disrespected. Tan Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj was shot at. Sadhu Sangat Ji, if their goal was to eliminate a terrorist, why did all of these other things take place? And we see clearly that there was another motive behind this. Sadhu Sangat Ji, coming back, when we say this word terrorist, we would think that it's an individual who may be involved in mass killings, someone who has done something very terrible in their lives, or caused a lot of damage to the community. We may call this person a terrorist, but the Sadhu Sangat Ji, the corrupt rulers, their definition of a terrorist was any individual who did not fit the ideal of the government of the time. Any person that was out of line from what they believed was called a terrorist, Sadhu Sangat Ji. Sangat Ji, Sant Jarnail Singh Ji was a Gurmukh of great character. They showed us what it really means to be a Sant Sipahi, a saintly soldier. They were a practicer of truth, and they spread the same wisdom to other beings. They were taking people off of drugs, instilling justice where it was needed. Sadhu Sangat Ji, there were even instances where people would come to Sant Jarnail Singh Ji, and if someone's daughter was being bothered, or if there was a dispute, Sant Jarnail Singh Ji would tell their Singhs to go and instill justice where it was needed. This is what Sant Jarnail Singh Ji was doing. And alongside of this, Sangat Ji, they were waking up the Sikh Panth to the slavery that it was in. The extremists of the time were going around and doing beadabi of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, disrespecting in unspeakable ways. If there was a Singh scene with a dastar on his head and a dari on his face, they would forcefully grab the Singh, cut off his beard. They would chop him and throw him in the river. And Sangat Ji, this amongst other things is what Sant Jarnail Singh Ji was trying to wake up the Sikh Panth to. They're telling us, look, you are a slave. This government thinks that they could do whatever they wish. And if you don't wake up, you will be bound by the shackles of slavery. But again, the way we started off this Katha, those beings that speak truth, that start to illuminate the minds, they become a threat to those who are corrupt. And in the same sense, the corrupt rulers of the time planned an attack on Shri Harmandir Sahib. This planning, Sadhu Sangat Ji, was done for a very long time. And they prepared in a way like they were going to go to war with another country. They brought in countless tanks, countless soldiers, Sadhu Sangat Ji, to fight a jathe of just some Singhs. Sangat Ji, Sant Jarnail Singh Ji fulfilled their duty. They upholded dharma and fought for what was right. They did not give in, interfere. Many threats came. They knew this was going to happen. But Sadhu Sangat Ji, they stayed steadfast in the principles that our Guru had given us and fought with bravery. Sadhu Sangat Ji, something very funny to think about. Till this day, there is still no justice for the Sikh Panth. Sant Jarnail Singh Ji was trying to show us, they were trying to wake us up from slavery. Ask yourself this question, have we achieved freedom? Till this day, Sangat Ji, the Sikhs are being eliminated. Not too long ago, we saw the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. He was a Canadian and he was killed here. And they found evidence. I'm not saying anything new, this was all on the news, Sadh Sangat Ji, that this was done by the Indian government. Till this day, we are being oppressed, Sadh Sangat Ji. And which is why it is so important for you to know what your history is. Those who forget their history, they are bound to slavery. They are bound to be sheep. It is only when we remember our history that we can wake up and allow others to wake up as well, Sadh Sangat Ji. Sadh Sangat Ji, when the former Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, he started to openly talk about these things in his speeches. And do you know what's very funny, Sangat Ji, I'll say one more time, I'm not talking about something that happened hundreds of years ago. This is something that is very recent and relevant. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, was started to be called a terrorist himself. Why? Because he did not fit the ideals of the Indian government. This is truly something for you to think about, Sangat Ji. Sadh Sangat Ji, know your history. Be aware. Do not give into propaganda. There's too much of that nowadays. Do not allow these people to make you forget who you are. Sadh Sangat Ji, the Guru has blessed us the role of Sant Sipahi, a saintly soldier. Sometimes there's a misconception. We think that some of our Gurus, they were very peaceful. All they did was sit down and close their eyes. And we think others went to fight battles, but this is totally false, Sangat Ji. It is a lack of knowledge. Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj used to carry a staff. This was a weapon of the time. And even the corrupt of the time put Guru Nanak Dev Ji in jail as well. During the time of Shri Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj, our second Guru, they had begun to make Sikhs wrestle. Martial arts had already begun from the second Guru. And Sadh Sangat Ji, after the Shahidi of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, it was decided that we would not allow the oppressors to kill the enlightened beings in such a way, but in fact the enlightened beings should be capable of protecting themselves and instilling justice where needed. So we see Shri Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj begin weaponry practice. They practiced martial arts and fought battles to uphold the Dharma in their life. Sangat Ji, in this day, we must be as prepared. Where it is important for us to keep a spiritual discipline, to do simran, to read Gurbani and do seva, we must also be physically strong and capable of protecting ourselves and others. This is the way of the Khalsa, Sangat Ji. This is the way to become a Sant Sipahi, a saintly soldier. And so Sadh Sangat Ji, while we have touched upon 1984, there are many other things that can be said, but to take anything away is to know your history. Sangat Ji, recognize who you are and don't let others make you forget who you are. And with this being said, Sad Sangat Ji, if we may also mention another great being that this Panth is going to remember, which is tomorrow. And Sad Sangat Ji, tomorrow will mark the birth of Bhagat Kabir Ji. Bhagat Kabir Ji, Sad Sangat Ji, was a being of truth who had obtained complete union with the primal being. And Sangat Ji, like we see time and time again, this being themselves faced difficulty in their lives. People began to saw that Bhagat Kabir Ji was going the complete opposite of what was known to be Dharma. They were not involved in any of the ritualistic practices. They moved away from what the people around them were doing for generations because they knew they had achieved a higher truth. Sad Sangat Ji, when the people of the time saw that Bhagat Kabir Ji, he's doing the complete opposite of what we have been doing. He's not following anything we're saying. There were complaints done to the ruler. And Sangat Ji, what was happened to Bhagat Kabir Ji is described in Gurbani. In their own words, Sad Sangat Ji, Bhagat Kabir Ji tells us, Puja band tila kar daryo Hasti krop mood mehmaryo. Bhagat Kabir Ji, they said the order was given. They tied my hands. They tied my body up into a bundle and they threw me in front of an elephant. Bhagat Kabir Ji is describing themselves what was done. Hasti krop mood mehmaryo, the one who was to ride this elephant, he was striking the elephant on top of the head to make him move forward. What they were trying to do was give a punishment to Bhagat Kabir Ji for spreading the truth he was doing. For spreading the truth he was practicing, the truth he had obtained. Because these ignorant beings could not realize that this being had obtained complete union. And so Sad Sangat Ji, Bhagat Kabir Ji says he began to strike the head of the elephant to make him come and stomp on top of me. Obviously, think about how heavy an elephant is, Sangat Ji. One step, your entire body is crushed. But what happened during that time? Hast pag ke jisa mare Ya murit ke hom balihare. Sangat Ji, before this Katha, Bhai Pritam Singh Ji, who was doing simran, he was describing what it means to do simran, to do meditation. It elevates our state, our consciousness. We begin to rise above the pleasures and the worries of this world. Sangat Ji, Bhagat Kabir Ji was not just some normal person. There is a reason we bow down to their Bani every time we bow down to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. They were such a being who, after doing so much bhakti, after doing so much simran, they had obtained the darshan of Waheguru. They merged within the light of the primal being. And so they're describing here, when a being reaches such a state of truth, their vibration, their aura starts to leave an impact on all of those around them. And it's not just the human beings. This aura, obtained from a heightened state, leaves an impact on all animals, the plants, grass, trees. Everything around you is affected by these vibrations. Bhagat Ji says this elephant ran away. The elephant started making loud noises and moved away. The elephant says, this being, I am a sacrifice to this being. Why should I step on this being? These are not made up stories, Sadh Sangat Ji. You bow down to this body. Kabir Ji continues to say, Ahe mere Thakur tumra zor, Kazi bakbo hasti tor. After witnessing what this elephant had just done, after being struck to crush this human being but not obeying these orders and in fact moving away, Bhakti Kabir Ji says, my support is the primal being. My support is Allah, is Ram, is Waheguru. Qazi Bakbo Hasti Tor, the Qazi, the Musalman, he gives the command, move this elephant. They continue to say, Re Muhavat Tuj Dharon Kat Isse Tarab Ho Kal Ho Sat. The Qazi, he's giving the command. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you moving away? Isse Tarab Ho Kal Ho Sat. They say, hit this elephant again. Make it move, make it crush this Bhakt Kabir who claims to be a being of God. Put an end to this being. Tuj Dharon God, I will cut you. He's saying this to the rider of the elephant. Sadh Sangat Ji, Bhakt Kabir Ji continues to say, Hastana Tore Tare Dhyan Bhakta Hriday Dase Bhagavan. This elephant does not move. In fact, he begins to focus. This elephant begins to meditate. And Sadh Sangat Ji, this being thinks to itself, Bhakta Hriday Dase Bhagavan. This being that you want me to crush right now, within this being abides Waheguru. Again, Sangat Ji, this being is describing to us what has happened to them. And this elephant, who is clearly affected by the aura, who clearly recognized the vibrations of a being of truth, Sadh Sangat Ji, they were not going to move. They recognized this being contains Waheguru. So Sadh Sangat Ji, Bhakt Kabir Ji continues to say, Kya aparad sant hai pina, Band pot kunchar ko dina. They're saying, what has the Sant done? What has this saint done? What have I done that you want me killed? Band pot kunchar ko dina. What have I done to make you tie me up and throw me in front of this elephant? They continue to say, Kunchar pot le namaskar, Buji kazi andhyara. This elephant began to do namaskar of Bhakt Kabir ji. Sadhu Sangat ji, when you meet someone in respect, you may put your hands together and lower your head to show respect to this being. Now Sadhu Sangat ji, again, there was such an aura, such a vibrations coming from Bhakt Kabir ji. This elephant started to bow its head down to Bhakt Kabir ji. La namaskar. It began to bow over and over again. Sadhu Sangat ji, they continue into the final lines. Teen baar patiya parlina, man kathor ajhu na patina. They say when this animal started to bow down to Bhakt Kabir ji, the Qazi still did not understand in his ignorance. He only wanted him to be dead. He only saw someone who was crazy, someone who was not practicing what the people were believing for so long. And they say, Teen baar patiya parlina. They tried 3 times for this elephant to go and crush Bhakt Kabir ji. Over and over they try. Man kathor ajhu na patina. Bhakt Kabir ji says still, his stubborn mind does not realize what is going on. In the final lines, Bhakt Kabir ji says, Kahe Kabir hamra Gobind, Chauthe pad mein hai Janki jind. Bhakt Kabir ji says, Hamra Gobind. In love, they call out, they speak to the primal being. They say, Hamra Gobind. Gobind means the primal being who knows the state of all beings. Kahe Kabir Hamra Gobind, Chauthe pad mein hai Janki jind. They refer to Chautha pada. Bhakt Kabir ji says, I abide in the 4th state. Now, hearing this for the first time, it may confuse us. What do they mean, the 4th state? What's the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd? Sadhu Sangat ji, Chautha pada is described as that state that when a being reaches this state, absolutely nothing can have any influence on this being. This Maya, Sadhu Sangat ji, this illusion of the world that poses so many distractions on the path to Waheguru, on the path to God. Bhakt ji is saying, I have reached the Chautha pada, I have reached now the state which in fact nothing can cause me to waver off of this path. Sadhu Sangat ji, when we listen to these stories of the heightened beings, we repeat these stories, we read the Bani, so we can begin to realize what we are truly here to do. There is more to this world than we are aware of, Sadhu Sangat ji. For when we are kids, society tells us you must first go to school. Once you complete your education, you must find a job. Once you find a job, you must provide for your family. And here and there you can go to vacation, but each and every single day of your life is spent serving this system. And while serving this system, this society, The days go on, and eventually till we pass away from this life. But Sangat Ji, the heightened beings, our gurus, they are telling us you are here for another reason. And if we look at another Bhakti, another line of Bhagat Kabir Ji, they tell us what the true essence of this human life is. They say, Bhajaho Gobind Phool Mat Ja Manas Janam Ka Ehi La. They say, Bhajaho Gobind Phool Mat Ja. Sometimes we're talking to one of our friends, Satsang, or a family member, and we say, did you forget? Don't you remember? In the same way, Bhakti is saying, Bhajaho Gobind, do Bhakti, do simran, phool mat jao. Are you starting to forget? Don't forget, they're saying, Phool mat jao. Why? Because manas janam ka ehi la. The true purpose of this human life is to obtain union with Waheguru. We are here for the very reason to recognize the primal being, the creator of the creation, Sadh Sangati. Many of us think that this may be the first time we are on this earth. But Bhagat Kabir Ji, in this same line, in this same shabad, they say, Gur seva te bhagat kamai, tab eh manas dehi pai. Sangat Ji, you have been on this earth for many lifetimes. And somewhere you have done something good enough that you have obtained this human life. Gur seva te bhagat kamai, tab eh manas dehi pai. They continue to say, is dehi ko simran dev. Sadh Sangat Ji, in the Hindu faith, they worship something called Devte. And we can translate this to deities or demigods. And so, people of the Hindu faith, they do namaskar and they bow down to these deities. Bhakti Kabir Ji, again reaching such a state, they're saying, Is dehi ko simran dev. This human life you have right now, these demigods are wishing for it. Even these angels seek this human life. They say, So dehi bhaj har ki sev. You have obtained such a valuable life. Use it to do bhakti. Use it to do simran. Use it to obtain union with Waheguru. This is what we are here to do, Sadh Sangati. Let us not forget, Sadh Sangati, this is the essence of our human life. When Bhakti describes the fourth state, they're not saying I'm the only one that can ever achieve this. Sangat Ji, they have outlined the way for us to also achieve such states in our life. And those of you who truly wish for it, those of you who truly think there is something more, Sadh Sangat Ji, it is that spark within you that may lead you to the treasure that these beings are showing us. So Sadh Sangat Ji, you have all listened to this Katha with much love and much patience. We thank everyone who has come today and taken their time. These smagams can only be done through your support. So I humbly thank everyone who took their time today. And let us all help spread the message and help connect more beings to our Guru, to the message of the enlightened being Sad Sangat Ji. So ਸਾਰੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਇਕਾਗਰਤਾ ਤੇ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ਰਵਣ ਕੀਤਾ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ। Please join me in the blessed Fateh of ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj। ਆਖੋ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।